The night had a certain crispness to it, the kind that wrapped itself around the city like a cool breath, settling on the glass towers and polished sidewalks. The street outside Aurelia Prime glowed with soft gold and violet, illuminated by its towering sign, a symbol of luxury, reputation, and exclusivity. It was the kind of place where the wealthy didn't just dine, they paraded their influence. Inside a sleek black car sat billionaire entrepreneur Mira Alden and her 9-year-old son Noah. The car door opened, and the cool breeze swept in. Noah stepped out first, holding a little sketchbook under his arm. He blinked up at the dazzling building. "Do we have to go inside?" he asked, pulling at the stiff collar of the formal shirt his mother made him wear. "It's only for a few hours," Mira said with a soft smile. "And afterward, I promise we'll get ice cream, the good kind, with sprinkles." Noah perked up a little, though he didn't look convinced. He tucked the sketchbook under his arm again. Noah had always been more of a let-me-draw quietly somewhere cozy kid rather than a sit-still in a fancy restaurant kid. But tonight mattered, at least to Mira. She'd spent the past 6 months juggling investors, traveling between cities, and trying to finalize a massive new deal that would push her company, Alden Future Tech, into the global spotlight. Tonight was supposed to be a celebratory dinner, a moment to remind herself and her son that she wasn't just a CEO, she was also a mother. She wanted to make it special. As they walked inside, the warm lighting of Aurelia Prime washed over them. The interior was modern yet soft, with marble floors reflecting chandeliers, and private booths arranged in quiet corners. Gentle piano music drifted through the air. "Reservation for Alden," the hostess said, a touch of reverence in her voice. The staff knew who Mira was. Everyone did. "Right this way," the hostess continued, guiding them to a cozy window table overlooking the city lights. Noah slid into his seat and opened his sketchbook the moment the hostess left. His pencil glided across the page, drawing shapes and lines that gradually became a forest scene. Trees with sleeping owls, fireflies floating like tiny stars. Mira watched him with fondness. She remembered nights when she used to read to him before bed, when work didn't swallow so much of her life. But she had built her empire from nothing, and empires didn't run themselves. Still, looking at her son now, hunched over his sketchbook, she felt something tighten inside her. "Do you want to order first?" she asked gently. "I'm not really hungry," he muttered. "You need to eat something." He shrugged, still drawing. A waiter came by, handing them menus. Mira nodded politely, but her eyes drifted around the room. Habit, instinct, the way someone used to reading people always observes. That was when she noticed them. A man and a child sitting at a small two-person table near the far wall. The man's shirt was clean but worn at the edges, like it had survived more wash cycles than it should have. His hair was a little messy, as though he had rushed here, and the child, maybe 6, maybe 7, sat in front of a tiny bowl of soup, eating slowly, savoring each spoonful. The father's eyes were tired, not the tiredness of someone who stayed up late answering emails, the tiredness of someone who worked shift after shift, someone who juggled life and responsibility without ever finding time to breathe. He smiled at his son anyway, a gentle, warm smile, the kind that made the edges of his face soften. Mira noticed the way he leaned forward, listening intently every time the boy spoke. Their clothes didn't match the rest of the restaurant. Their presence didn't fit the atmosphere, and yet something about them looked more genuine, more honest, more beautiful than the glitter around them. "Mom," Noah whispered, "that kid looks my age." She turned to him. "Which kid?" "The one with the soup." Noah pointed discreetly. "He looks like he's really hungry." Mira studied them again. She saw it clearly now. The father had only ordered for the boy. There was no plate in front of the man. Not even a drink besides a glass of water. Her eyes softened. "Maybe the dad will order later," she said. Noah shook his head. "He won't. He keeps checking the price list on the table." He paused, voice lower now. "That's what I saw Dad do before he left." The words hit Mira like a punch she didn't expect. Her ex-husband had walked out 2 years ago, after arguments, pressures, and incompatibilities built up like a collapsing wall. But even then, he had always calculated the prices during their harder years. Noah had seen more than she realized. She touched her son's hand gently. You have a kind heart. I don't like when people look sad while pretending not to be. Noah glanced again at the boy. People look away like they're not there. Why? Mira swallowed. Because sometimes people forget to care. Noah looked up at her with soft brown eyes, eyes that saw more than she wished he did. Can we help them? Mira hesitated. She had money, influence, options, but people like the man at the table didn't want pity. They wanted dignity. Offering help without stripping away someone's pride required something delicate, something thoughtful. Still, seeing the father sip water in place of food made her stomach knot. Let me think, she said. She watched a waiter approach the single dad's table. Are you ready to order anything else? The waiter asked politely. The dad gave a small, embarrassed smile. No, thank you, this is all we need. His son looked up cheerfully. Daddy said this is a special dinner. The waiter forced a polite smile before leaving. A couple at another table whispered to each other, glancing at the worn clothes and the small bowl of soup. Mira's jaw tightened. Noah tugged her sleeve. Please, Mom. She looked into her son's hopeful eyes, then back at the father who now gently wiped the boy's mouth with a napkin as though it were the most important job in the world. She made her decision. I'll be right back, Mira told Noah. Noah watched her stand, his chest swelling slightly with pride. Mira walked to the manager's desk. The man straightened immediately. MS, Alden. He greeted respectfully. Is everything satisfactory? Almost, she replied. There's a father and son at the table near the back. I want their entire bill transferred to mine. Quietly, no mention of me. The manager nodded, of course, and she continued, I want you to bring them the premium meal set. The full one, steaks, vegetables, desserts. Tell them the chef is testing new dishes and offered them a complimentary upgrade. The manager blinked in surprise. Certainly, I will make sure it's discreet. Good. As she returned to her own table, she saw the father's face when the waiter came back to bring new plates. Confusion, shock, a touch of fear, like he thought it was a mistake. Then the boy gasped, Daddy, look, they gave us more food. The father stammered, why? We didn't. I didn't order. The chef wishes to offer this as a courtesy. The waiter said gracefully, exactly as instructed. The boy clapped happily. The father's eyes glistened. Mira looked down quickly, not wanting him to see her watching. Noah leaned toward her. Did you do it? Yes, she said softly. He smiled, a real smile. One she hadn't seen in a while. They began eating their own meals. Mira ordered Noah's favorite, pasta with white sauce, and pretended to enjoy her seared scallops, but her attention kept drifting. The single dad kept thanking the waiter, voice trembling. His son talked nonstop, pointing at each new dish. The father nodded through tears he wiped away before his child could notice. Mira felt something stir in her chest, an ache mixed with admiration. The man didn't look broken. He looked strong, stronger than most rich men she had ever met, strong enough to smile through exhaustion, strong enough to put every last dollar into giving his child one memorable night. She knew what pride looked like. She also knew what sacrifice looked like. This man carried both like armor. Halfway through their meal, something unexpected happened. The father stood. He walked slowly toward Mira's table, clearing his throat nervously. Mira straightened. Excuse me, he said softly. I just wanted to thank you. Her heart jolted. He knew. I'm not sure what you mean, she said gently. He shook his head. It's okay. I know it was you. She stayed quiet. He swallowed. My son. He's been having a rough time. Things have been hard. I wanted to give him one good night, just one, but I couldn't afford much. His voice cracked. You didn't have to do this. Mira's eyes softened. Sometimes the world gives us moments to remind us of each other. Maybe this was one of them. He gave a fragile smile. You're very kind. Noah looked up from his drawing. Your son seems nice, he said. The man brightened. He's my whole world. Mira felt warmth bloom inside her. The father nodded once more. Thank you again, truly. He returned to his table visibly lighter, shoulders less tense. Noah whispered, "Mom, can he come sit with us?" Amira nearly laughed in surprise. "Why, he looks like he needs a friend, and so does the boy, and maybe—" He paused. "Maybe you need one too." Her breath hitched. She looked over again at the single dad speaking softly to his son, the way he leaned forward, attentive, caring. Maybe she did need something. Someone who understood life beyond money and business. Someone real. But she didn't act on it. Not yet. They finished their meal, then dessert. Noah showed her his drawing again, a forest scene with a father and son and a little light drifting between them. "That's beautiful," Mira whispered. "Can I show it to the boy?" Noah asked. Mira hesitated, then nodded. He hopped off the seat and walked quietly toward the other table. The single dad looked startled when Noah approached. "Hi," Noah said shyly. "I drew something. Want to see?" The boy's eyes lit up. "Wow, that's so cool. You can have it," Noah said. "I can make another one." The boy hugged the drawing to his chest like a treasure. "Thank you." Mira watched from her table, a lump growing in her throat. When Noah came back, he sat beside her, content. "That was very sweet of you," she whispered. "You helped them." He said, "I just wanted to help a little too." Mira felt pride swell inside her like a rising tide. He had her heart. Maybe even the part of her heart, she thought, she'd lost in the chaos of life. The single dad stood to leave. He lifted his son into his arms, whispering something that made the boy giggle. Before exiting, he looked back one last time at Mira and Noah, and mouthed the words, "Thank you," and then the door closed behind them. The restaurant felt a little quieter, a little warmer, and Mira felt something shift inside her, something she wasn't sure she could name yet. But it felt like the beginning of something she didn't expect, something she didn't know she needed. The next morning, sunlight crept through the tall windows of Mira's penthouse, brushing warm gold over the white marble floors. Noah sat at the dining table eating cereal, kicking his feet lightly beneath the chair as he sketched again. This time, a smiling stick figure father holding his child's hand. Mira poured herself coffee, but her mind was elsewhere. She kept replaying the night before, the single dad's tired eyes, the way he tried so hard to make something small feel magical for his little boy. How humbly he had thanked her, how Noah had instinctively walked over to give away his drawing. Something about that family stayed with her. Her life had become a machine. Meetings, deadlines, conferences, non-stop travel. Her success was built on pressure and pace. But last night, watching that father devote every ounce of his effort into one simple meal with his son, it shook her. He didn't have millions, he didn't have a seat on a board, but he had something she feared she'd been losing. Presence. "Mama," Noah said softly, "you're staring into your coffee." She blinked, pulled from her thoughts. "Just thinking, sweetheart, about the dad and kid." She hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." Noah smiled a little. "They were nice. They were. Do you think we'll ever see them again?" Amira exhaled slowly. The chances were slim. Their worlds lived at opposite ends of the city, financially, socially, structurally. That father was probably already on his way to work, carrying his son's drawing carefully in his bag. "It's unlikely," she said gently, "but we can still remember what we learned from them." "What did you learn?" Noah asked curiously. Mira looked at him. "That even when you think you're helping someone, sometimes they're the ones helping you." Noah blinked. "I don't get it." "One day you will." He nodded like he wanted to understand but didn't push further. Later that afternoon, Mira rushed through a long board meeting. Numbers and charts filled the screen. Executives discussed projections, risks, growth strategies. It was important. Everything was important. But for the first time in years, Mira felt strangely disconnected. Her mind drifted back to the restaurant. To the father, gently wiping soup from his son's chin. To the way he lifted his child with ease when leaving. The way he smiled despite looking exhausted. When the team asked her opinion about a new expansion plan, she blinked. "Ms. Alden," her CFO said, "your thoughts?" She cleared her throat. "Let's revisit it tomorrow. I want to take a closer look at the long-term implications." "All right," the CFO said, slightly confused. Mira rarely delayed decisions, but today she needed space. After the meeting, she found herself driving without fully planning where she was going. It was instinctual, as if something inside her tugged her toward a direction she couldn't explain. When she finally checked the signs, she realized where she was headed: the neighborhood on the other side of the city, the one lined with small grocery stores and laundromats, the one where the buildings weren't glass, but brick and fading paint. She slowed the car when she saw a small elementary school. Children were running out, backpacks bouncing, laughter spilling into the air, and out of that group, she noticed the boy from the restaurant. He was holding the same drawing Noah gave him, folded carefully in his backpack's front pocket. Her breath caught. The father wasn't there yet. The boy stood alone at the gate, shifting his feet nervously. Mira pulled over and parked. She didn't know why she was doing this. She didn't have a plan. She only knew her heart tightened at seeing the little boy waiting anxiously, clutching his backpack straps. She approached slowly. "Hi," she said gently. The boy's eyes widened. You're the lady from the restaurant?" She smiled. "Yes. I didn't mean to scare you. I was just passing by and noticed you." He nodded shyly. He had big expressive eyes, the kind that held innocence and worry all at once. "Is your dad coming?" she asked. "He said he'll be here soon." The boy said softly, "He's running from work." Running. That single word pierced her. A few minutes later, she saw him, the father. He was sprinting down the sidewalk, breathing hard, sweat on his brow, still wearing the same worn-out work shirt from the restaurant. "Evan," he called, voice breathless. "I'm here. Sorry, buddy. I'm sorry I'm late." Evan rushed to him and hugged him tightly. "It's okay, Daddy, you came." The father lifted him, holding him like he was the most precious thing in the world. Then he noticed Mira. His eyes widened in genuine surprise. Hello," he said awkwardly, shifting Evan to one arm. Mira smiled. "Hello again." He blinked, confused. "Are you here for something? Did I drop something at the restaurant yesterday?" "No," she said softly. "I was just in the neighborhood and recognized your son." "Oh." He seemed unsure whether to be embarrassed or grateful. "Well, it's nice to see you again." For a moment silence stretched between them. Then Evan tugged his dad's shirt. "Daddy, she's the nice lady who—" The father quickly covered his son's mouth gently. "We don't talk about that part, okay?" Mira smiled understandingly. "It's all right." Evan squirmed. "Daddy, can we show her where the cats live?" "The cats?" Mira asked. Evan's face lit up. "There's a whole family of cats behind the school. They live under the stairs, and Daddy brings them food." Mira looked at the father. He shrugged sheepishly. "There's a stray mom with kittens. We try to help when we can." The boy tugged them both. "Come see, come on." Mira wasn't dressed for crouching near old school steps, but something about Evan's excitement made her follow. The father looked hesitant, then finally sighed and walked with them. Behind the school building, under a rusted metal staircase, a mother cat lay curled around 3 tiny kittens. Evan knelt nearby, gently placing some leftover chicken pieces wrapped in a napkin. "They get scared," Evan whispered, "but Daddy says they're brave inside." Mira's heart melted. Humans with nothing always gave the most. "You're kind." She told the boy, "My daddy says if you want the world to be nice to you, you have to be nice to the world first." The father scratched his neck, embarrassed, "Just trying to teach him the right things." "You're doing a good job," she said. Their eyes met, and in that moment something shifted, like recognition, like gratitude. Like connection, the air between them softened. Evan ran ahead, chasing a drifting leaf, leaving the 2 adults standing quietly. "You didn't have to help us last night," the father said gently, "but I'm glad you did. You didn't have to run all the way here from work." She replied, "But I can see why you did." He chuckled softly. "Evan worries if I'm even a minute late. I don't like letting him down. You're raising him alone." He nodded. 2 years now. His mom passed away. Accident. Her chest tightened. I'm so sorry." He looked down, swallowing. "We're doing okay, one day at a time." She admired him even more now, his resilience, his devotion, his strength. "I never got your name," she realized. "Oh, Daniel," he said. "My name's Daniel." She offered her hand. "Mira, He shook it gently. Evan came rushing back, holding a small flower. "Miss Mira, look what I found." She knelt, accepting the tiny flower with a smile. "It's beautiful, thank you," Daniel exhaled. "We should probably get going. I still have a shift tonight." "You work evenings too?" she asked softly. He shrugged. "Bills don't pay themselves." Mira hesitated, then asked, "Do you need a ride?" Daniel froze. "I know, I don't want to bother you. It's not a bother," she said. "Let me help, just this once." Daniel looked at Evan, who looked at Mira with hopeful eyes. Finally, Daniel nodded. They walked together to her car. Evan sat beside Noah's old booster seat, swinging his feet as Mira drove them to their neighborhood. The conversation flowed easily. Evan talked about cats, school, and superheroes. Daniel occasionally added small comments, but mostly watched his son with a soft smile. Mira learned that Daniel worked 2 jobs, warehouse loader in the morning, cashier at a small store in the evening. They lived in a modest apartment. Money was always tight, but Daniel always made sure Evan never felt deprived. When they reached the apartment complex, Evan hugged Mira unexpectedly, tiny arms wrapping around her waist. "Thank you," he said brightly. Her chest warmed so deeply she almost teared up. Daniel lifted his son gently. "Say thank you properly." "I did." Evan giggled. Daniel shook his head. "You spoiled him with kindness." "Maybe he just deserved it," she replied. Their eyes met again, this time longer. Daniel cleared his throat. "If you're ever in the neighborhood again, feel free to stop by," she smiled. "Maybe I will." They parted ways, but Mira didn't drive off immediately. She sat in her car for a long moment, the warmth of their interaction lingering in her chest like a soft glow. Her phone buzzed. Her assistant, MS Alden. "The board is asking if you're joining tomorrow's investor dinner." Mira stared ahead at the old apartment complex where Daniel and Evan had disappeared inside. "For the first time in years," she replied calmly, "I think I'll pass." The next few days were different. Mira found herself thinking about Daniel and Evan often, their simple joy, their sincerity, the way Daniel put Evan before everything else, even when he had nothing left to give. On the 4th day, Mira found herself driving into their neighborhood again. She didn't know why. She didn't have a reason, but she parked near the school just as children were coming out. There they were. Evan ran out first, waving his arms. "Miss Mira." Daniel followed behind, surprised and flustered. "Mira, you came back." She smiled. "I guess I like this neighborhood." Evan laughed and jumped around her. "Daddy brought the kittens some food today." "That's wonderful," she said. Daniel looked down shyly. "He's been hoping to see you again." "And you?" she asked softly. He froze for a moment. Then he smiled, faint but sincere. "Me too." They walked together again, down the street, past small shops, toward the park where Evan and Noah could have been friends if life had placed them on the same path earlier. Evan ran ahead to the swings. Daniel and Mira sat on a nearby bench. The silence between them wasn't awkward now. It was warm, comfortable. "You know," Daniel said after a moment, "you didn't have to come back. People with your kind of life, they don't usually show up in places like this." "Maybe they should," she replied. He looked at her with soft curiosity. "Why?" She watched Evan laugh as he swung back and forth. "Because kindness isn't supposed to be rare." Daniel stared at her for a long time, something unspoken flickering in his eyes. Gratitude, admiration, maybe even a fragile connection forming. "You changed our night," he said quietly, "but I think you changed something in me too." She turned to him, heart fluttering. "What do you mean?" He hesitated, then looked at Evan. "I learned that even when life is hard, some people still see you." She exhaled, feeling something tighten and soften inside her all at once. "And what about you?" Daniel asked softly. "Why did you help us?" Mira looked down at her hands. "Because I forgot what real strength looks like, until I saw you." Daniel blinked, taken aback. "You think I'm strong," he whispered. "I know you are," she replied. Their eyes locked. The moment stretched, warm and fragile. Evan ran back suddenly, breaking the tension. "Daddy, push me." Daniel stood and laughed. Okay, I'm coming." As he pushed Evan gently, Mira watched them, their laughter, their bond, the purity of their world. It felt like a glimpse into something she had long forgotten she wanted: family. Not in the way she once imagined it, not built on wealth or perfection, but built on heart. When the sun began to set, Daniel walked her back to her car. "I'm really glad you came today," he said. "So am I." He hesitated. Will I see you again?" Her smile softened. "Do you want to?" He paused only a second. "Yes, then you will." They said good night, but the warmth lingered. In the following weeks, Mira visited often. Sometimes she brought small snacks for Evan. Sometimes Daniel insisted on cooking something simple for them. Sometimes they all just walked together, talking about life as though they had known each other for years. Noah joined them once, and he and Evan clicked instantly. Their laughter filled the air like music. One evening, after the boys had run ahead chasing fireflies, Daniel stood beside Mira watching them. "You gave us more than dinner that night," he said softly. "And you gave me more than gratitude," she replied. He looked at her then, truly looked, his eyes full, warm, sincere. "Thank you," he whispered, "for seeing us." She took a step closer. "Thank you for reminding me who I want to be." His breath caught, their hands brush, lightly, accidentally, but neither of them pulled away. Something had begun. Something real, something unexpected, something healing, and all of it started with a single dinner. In a moment of kindness that changed all three of their lives forever.